Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? Okay, so we're going to start this new project here, which is the movie poster. And let me show you how to do this in Photoshop. And again, I told you you could do this in Illustrator or Photoshop, but I prefer Photoshop, so let's learn a little bit about Photoshop. So, let's look at our requirements first upon our assignment. So this is our assignment. Here, let me get it so you can see it. So this is our assignment, and we need to start out with this stuff right here. So we're going to change the size to 6.75, width by a height of 10. We're going to create a new document. Let me click that again. We're going to create a new document. I didn't say pixels, I want inches. So inches, width 6.75, height 10 inches. We want a resolution of 300 dpi, and everything else looks good. The reason why I selected this size is this can be proportionally blown up to the size of an actual movie poster. So when you're done, you could do that if you want. So what I did was I just zoomed in or zoomed out. You can hit Control negative or positive to do that, or Command negative positive for me. Okay, so I'm going to create a new layer. This will just be a background layer that I'm just not even going to touch. I'm going to create a new layer, so that's down here, new layer. And upon this layer, we're going to create several layers. I'm going to do a background, middle ground, foreground, and then text. Okay, and so remember, these layers are like layers of glass. So let's go to the internet and learn how to get stuff off the internet and onto our movie poster. So to start off with the movie poster, I think we need a really cool background. So let's say I'm gonna do this. Let me tell you my concept before we get going. I'm gonna do something like similar to this one. Okay, so sky, maybe some planes, maybe some city stuff, some dirt, and some characters. Okay. I'm not going to draw them all from scratch. We're just going to steal them off the internet. Okay? So, to do that, we're going to start with a background. So, let's see. We'll do let's do a rocky beach scene. Rocky beach scene. Okay, and I'm going to go to images. And now it thinks I'm talking about the movie, which that's fine. There's other stuff here too. And on settings, I can go to settings here or tools. I'm going to go to tools here, and I'm going to pick a large size. So under size, it says large. Now it'll only show me stuff that has a pretty large setup. So I'm going to look for something. I'm either looking for foreground stuff or background stuff that looks pretty interesting. So I need to just kind of think like, what a character fit in front of it, and things like that. Okay, so scrolling around. Without overthinking it too much at the same time. What's going on here? That's pretty crazy looking. Alright, I like that. So I'm going to right click this, copy image. I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to paste it. Edit, paste. So now I got that in there. Now I may not want to use this exactly the way they have it, and in fact, I'm going to kind of use maybe just this section right here. And so what I did is I used the move tool, which is up here, and I just grabbed onto these handles, and I held shift to make it proportional. So for example, I grab this handle, I pull, I hold shift, and it'll make it like proportionally large. Okay, so you got that. I just hit enter to accept that size. And we'll move it down a little. Okay. And then we're gonna do, let's do more rocks. Let's see if we can get some foreground rocks going on here. Oh, let's see. Try a rocky beach. Some cool looking rocks, maybe something like that. I actually don't need to click on it. Let's go back. So I'm going to just hover over this area, right click, copy image. Go back to Photoshop. Now that I'm in Photoshop, I can go to edit and paste. And hopefully it'll paste it. Okay. So we got some rocks there. And again, I use the move tool. I just hit enter to say yes, I wanted it that size. Okay. So let's see what happens when I go to this tool right here. I'm going to hold down and I'm going to select this magic wand tool. And if I just click like that, it's not going to select everything I want to erase, but it did select a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to just hit delete and see what it deletes. Then I'm going to take the eraser, and I have it on a weird brush right now that I was showing you guys, so I'm going to right click that. It'll bring up a bunch of different brushes. I'm going to pick this like smooth one right here, and I'm okay with the size, so I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to just erase some stuff that I don't want on here. And this is going to be great. Okay, just erasing some stuff I don't want. Using the mouse. Okay. Alright, and then you can use the, you can also use the clone stamp, which is this one right here. And we can bring the size of it down a little. And I can sample this area by hitting option, and it'll record this area, and then I can paint it back in right here if I wanted. So we're going to be using that a lot too. So I'm going to use this select or lasso tool, and I'm going to kind of just make a jaggedy selection, and I'm going to delete everything above this just to kind of make my own rock formation. That's good right there. So everything within inside this is going to be deleted if I hit delete, which I just did. Now it's done. Okay, so I like that. Now I see that this is more blue, and then this is more reddish color or orange. So let's go back to that layer. Let's name this layer that we were just drawing on. We'll call it foreground rocks and hit enter. Now the layer name has changed. Now these I would consider like middle ground rocks because they're in the middle of the scene. So I'm going to double click here, middle rocks. Okay, so that looks good. And now my layers are named, so it's a lot easier. So let's do like a turbulent clouds. We need a cool looking cloud situation. I mean, right there, right off the get-go, that's pretty awesome. Oh, I guess I spelt it wrong. Turbulent clouds, the turbulence. Let's just pick this one. It's jumping out at me. Right click, copy image, go to Photoshop, edit, paste, enter. Let's bring this to the very top, call it clouds. Okay, so I'm going to pick the coolest part. I'm going to pick like that right there. Now I don't really want this stuff, so I'm going to take my eraser tool. I want it to about right there. So if I hit, if I just erase it, I can erase it. But if I hit shift, it'll do a straight line of erasing. And then I can go to my lasso or rectangular marquee box here and just delete the rest by going like that. If I hit delete, it'll delete everything in there. Okay, and still I can hit shift and move this up and down. Okay. So we got some clouds, we got some rocks, and as you can see, this rock needs to go in front of the sky here. So let's see if we can take a selection of just that rock. What happens if we just go like that? And if I hold shift, it'll let me select it again and again, and it kind of gets more and more of it. Now I'm going to do Command C, Command V, and that will copy a layer. Or you can do this idea. Once you have it selected, you can go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. Now it's pasted a new rock. Okay? So that's its own layer. We'll just call it rock. Right side. You gotta be careful of this because you might move it to the left side, so you might have to rename it later. Now if I move, or let me put it above the clouds. Okay, now if I move the clouds, you see it's in the front of it. Okay, but there's that little white dot right there. Let's take the paintbrush tool, click that. Let's hit the Alt key, the Option key, that'll sample a color. Let's just color that white dot in. Oops, but we gotta be on our rock right side layer. So let's sample that color and just color that in. Now remember guys, you can use any photos you want. I'm just showing you techniques. Okay, so, and these foreground rocks should actually be in front of everything. Now I have to decide, do I want to make these rocks more blue or do I want to make these rocks more red? I'm going to do the latter. So I'm going to go to the middle rocks. So I'm going to go to the middle rocks layer. That's this layer here. And I think I'll start with this one here though. And I'm going to change the color of this so it matches these rocks a little better. The way I do that is I make sure I got the layer I want to adjust. I go to Adjustments, Color. A new window is going to pop up, which is the hue and saturation. And we have all kinds of options here. I'm going to change the hue to more of a blue. Mess with the lightness and stuff. But now as you can see, it pretty much matches perfect. I'm going to go to the middle rocks and do the same thing. Middle rocks layer is now selected. I'm going to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. I see the hotkey right here to get real fancy is Command U. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to switch these rock colors to something more cool. I see that it's adjusting the ocean too, though, which I really don't want. It doesn't have to be the exact color, but I can find a color that I like. And I'm just messing with it. We'll go right here. I knocked the saturation down a ton. Lightness. Knock the lightness down a ton too. Okay is what I just pressed. Okay. So I already have a pretty cool scene going here. Okay. Let's put a little bit of character action in this. So let's find a character. Let's see. I think I'll do female model. So if I could get a character that kind of has a full, almost a full body like this, that would be best. Something like this, maybe. Female model pose. So usually the pose, if you add the word pose, it'll give you more of their body. Don't worry, guys, we'll get there. Just gotta find it. Just trying to think of one that will work well. I guess we could use this one. I don't know. I kind of think I should use this one. I'm gonna use this one. So copy image, which is right click. And then we're in Photoshop again. Edit, paste. So she just landed right here and she's buried by the cloud. She just landed right here. I'm gonna rename this female model. Let's bring her to the front by sliding her layer up. I just grabbed onto it, slid it up. Let's make her much bigger. Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens if I just click that. See how much of it takes. What this is the magic wand tool. I think what I want to start with is just cutting out most of it with this lasso. I'll go a little faster if I do it with my pen here. You can use a mouse, but since it's a demo, it'd be a little faster if I just use my digital pen. Now if I hit delete, she's going to disappear. Undo. If I go to select and I inverse it, it's going to erase the outside. Okay? So remember that. If you make a selection and you just hit delete, it'll delete the inside, but you want to go to select and inverse to delete the outside of your selection. Okay, and so to deselect, you can go to Command D. So this is not a very high-res image. Let's actually go back to the internet and see if we want to find a more high-res version. Size, large. So at the bottom here it says how many pixels it is. She is pretty large. Let's use her. Copy image. Photoshop. I'm sorry, you have to go. You did not make the cut. Bye-bye. To delete a layer, you select that layer, go to the trash can, and trash it. So, edit. Paste. Now we have this character. And again, we'll use our lasso tool, and I'm just gonna just to get rid of all this tons of white stuff around. Select what? Inverse? Yes. And delete. Okay, so now we have that. Now we can easily, this is actually better because she has more of a white background, because look at this. If I just take the magic wand tool and select this area, I can easily delete that, and it looks pretty darn good. Same with like in here. Anything that has real clean shapes with high contrast, it'll easily delete that area. So let's just see what we can get away with. See that? So that didn't work so well. Let's go back to about right here. This is a great spot for me to use this pen tool that I was telling you about. Let's go into the pen tool area, like right here. You see how crisp her line is on her arm? This is where you may want to use the pen tool, which is right here. And this is the one that used vector technology to create the shape. So I'm going to start in a corner, and I'm going to just left click, and I kind of bend this thing to where I want it. You can press undo if you want to go back a little bit. And I'm going to go just, oh, you can hit Alt to move this handle where you want it. And I'm going to go just like on her skin pretty much. I'm going to kind of try, obviously my goal is to not show any white. Okay, so I'm going to kind of stay on the inside of her skin a little bit, but still get all these S-turns and stuff of her arm. Okay, so I'm left clicking and moving the mouse. Left click, I move the mouse to do this. Left click, move the mouse a little. Same with right here. And same with right here. I'm going to go up. Alright, so I'm just tracing this out. This is a lot like the Illustrator pen tool, but not completely. And then I'm going to just kind of come out here because I think I'm going to do that hair a different way. And I'm going to just start right back here. And see that circle forms? When I get close to completing the shape that circle forms, that means you're about to complete the vector shape, which is a good thing. Okay, so now I've completed the shape. Now I can go to up here and I want to make it a selection. Do I want to feather it, meaning like do I want it soft or hard? 0 is fine, we don't need to feather it. And of course if I hit delete, as you see it's turned it into a clean selection. If I hit delete, it'll delete that. Now look how like clean that is. Okay, I see a little bit of white over here. I can take the eraser, make a hard eraser shape, and get this point real small to like 5, and then I can just erase that little section. So now you've learned how to use the pen tool to mask out an area. Okay, and as far as this one looked like, we could just take the magic wand tool, just forgetting what it was called, and I can just hit delete. That'll work for that. Let's see. So let's say I know just this magic wand tool would work fine right in this section and all this, but not up here. I can take the lasso tool and hit Alt, and it'll give me a way to just subtract some of the stuff I don't want to select. So see that? Now it's just selected right in this area because I just subtracted that part of the selection. If I hit delete, that will delete that area. So we're getting close. Let's try to get her feet here. Should that be fine? Let's take the eraser again, and we'll just take the mouse and draw. I'm actually not using the mouse right now. It's the stylus, or what are these called? Yeah, stylus. But you could do this with your mouse. Okay, so I got that stuff figured out, and again, this is such a clean area that it's also very visible. People are going to really look at this area, so I want it to be nice and clean. We're going to use the pen tool again. So pen tool, I'm going to start about this little hair here. I'm using the Option button, left click on the mouse, Option button again, left click on the mouse, and so on and so on. Now I'm just using left click on the mouse to use my pen tool to create a perfect mask, to get a nice selection to cut out all this white. We're almost there. I can do undo if I didn't like what I just did. And we have to close the shape. So I'm coming all the way up here, and I'm going to close this shape. See the circle popped up? And then I want to make it a selection. So right here I'm going to hit this button. Do I want to feather it? No. So I'm going to leave that at 0. Make the selection? Yes, okay. Now I have a clean selection. I'm going to hit delete. And I'm going to deselect it by hitting deselect. And it's pretty darn nice. Okay. Also, don't forget when people look at your poster, it's going to be like, they're going to see like this much of it. So don't get like too crazy. Like for example, on this hair, you could spend hours on this hair. Don't overthink it too much. The hair is where one of these would come in handy. I'm drawing on a Cintiq, but since you probably don't have a Cintiq, or actually one of you do, I'm going to just do it on the mouse for you. And there's the combination of, you can use this selection tool and just kind of draw the hair and make a shape and delete it, okay? And you really, since she's going to be so small, you don't need to worry about all the small hairs until you get to like these small hairs. You might want to do those, and I'm just tracing along the edge there. The other thing you might want to do is do like a girl that has like pulled back hair or something, so you don't have to go through all this. Those are things you want to think about as far as how much time you have. Okay, and I'm going to attempt to show you guys. Let me see if I can find it here. I'm going to show you guys a tutorial on YouTube about how to cut out hair that's really cool. Or I'll put the link in. So I'm going to make the tutorial go faster, I'm going to do this real crude, real fast. And you guys will thank me, because you could spend a long time working on this stuff. So I'm just clicking the magic wand. If you don't like what you just did, you can always hit undo. Alright. Let's see. You can mess with the tolerance too up here. It's at 20, now I can put it to 10. And it'll take a little bit less. Of your art. What happens if I just do that? That'll work. So, a bit of a hack job, but I don't want to lose your guys' attention too bad by getting deep on this. So, another thing you can do is, if you think you lost some hair, you can just put this to like 2, sample some hair by doing Alt, and now you've selected the color of her hair, and you can kind of draw it back in with your mouse if you feel like, you know, you maybe did miss some sections. Like right here, these were actually connecting, so you know, you don't want to get too artsy with it and take forever. Okay. Maybe we'll do this. Okay, so in the end, she'll probably be pretty far away. I don't know how big we're going to do her. Well, let's figure that out right now. So, I've grabbed the Move tool. I've also backed up using the magnifying glass, or zoom tool you should call it. To back up, I hit negative or positive. So I've backed up like that. I have hit the Move tool, and now I can move her around wherever I want. I'm going to make her pretty big. And make her pretty big. I hit enter to select that size. Put her like right here. Let's even shrink, go back a little bit. We've got to save some room for our title, which is going to be at the top. And let's put in a dummy title just for now to just let us know. Right here, if I type, the colors of the type is going to be that color. So I want to click this, and we'll use white for right now. We'll call it. What are we going to call our movie? We'll call it Photoshop. Photoshop. What happened? Shop. Okay, so I just put in the word Photoshop, and maybe I want to stretch it a little. Hit enter. I want to show you guys a little bit of wording effects or text effects. If I go to this says Photoshop right here, but it's going to say whatever you typed. If I double click it, you're going to see these layer styles come up, and you're going to have all these cool effects right here. So let's do outer glow. Outer glow, I just clicked, and now you can see it's doing an outer glow. If I click on the word itself, it'll bring up all these options within that outer glow, and I can change like the color of it. Let's say red, okay, or you can select a color from out here, blue. Okay, so the way I did that is I clicked on this swatch, I went out into my art area, and I clicked that. Maybe I want it a little more saturated. So that's outer glow. That's a really cool one. Another really cool one is I'm going to uncheck outer glow and go to drop shadow. And when I click on drop shadow, you'll see it does a great drop shadow. Photoshop does the best drop shadow, better than Illustrator, way better. And this is which way the sun is pointing and your shadow is casting. This is the size of your shadow. Let me get should probably get zoomed in a little more. Since we're talking about this text. Again, I'm going to double click on this layer. I'm just going to pull up my layer styles. If I click on the word drop shadow, now I can see where I can edit that. The distance, look at that, the distance. Very cool. The spread, how hard or soft that shadow is. And again, the size. Okay. And again, here's the sun. Which way is the sun radiating onto it? Opacity is how much you can or cannot see through it. Okay, if I had it only at 15%, you can barely see it. Obviously, 100%, you'd see it all the way. There's these layers that these options like multiply and overlay. That'll be how much you can see through to the layer behind it, and I'll show you more about color burn, screen, overlay. I'll show you more about that as well here in a minute. So these are the two I use a lot, and stroke is a neat one. So that puts a outline upon your graphic. There's your outline and also your thickness of that outline. Thin, thick, opacity as well, how much you can see it or not see it. Okay, so if you don't want the layer style, you can just uncheck it. And you'll have to mess with these other ones, but all kinds of great ones. There's bevel and emboss. If I click on that, this is a really cool one. I've used this one a lot on my fight suits, doing mock panels and fake paneling and stuff. Actually, look at this border right here. on OBS. Oh, I guess you can't see my mouse right now. But if you look at this frame of where's like this frame right here, see that? That's all using the beveled feature in Photoshop. This right here. Oh god, this is really hard. Okay, so that's kind of how this would use. See, I'm going to turn it on, off, on, off. And there's all these adjustments for it right here to make it more or less. Okay. Love it. And the way I got to that is I went to the layer, double clicked in the gray zone, and this layer styles came up. I was going to see if we could get in here too. Okay, so we have Photoshop. Let's show you. Let's make some adjustments on her. Okay, let's trick her out a little bit. Like, I'm gonna kind of sci-fi her up a bit so she looks different. So, let's take her hair. Let's just cut her hair out. Okay, so let's take the selection or the lasso tool. Let's just cut her hair out. Cut her hair. Use your mouse. Cut this out. There's her hair. And I'm going to select the layer with her, which is right here. Actually, we should name this female star. Wait, no, I don't want to get confused. Female model. So I call it a female model. That's the name of the layer. That layer is selected. If I now go to Edit, Copy, and Paste, just her hair will be there. I'm making this visible and not visible right now, this female model layer. So I'm going to put this hair into place where it needs to go. And we can mess with the color of her hair. Let's like make her kind of punk rock. Okay. Make her, so we got a lot of blue. Let's make the opposite of blue is orange. So make it contrasty. And she looks great with purple hair. Let's go purple hair. I like purple hair. Okay, so look at that. Let's hit the colorize, see what happens. So colorize also gives it a different kind of way that it colors the hair. If I uncolorize it, you have a little bit more information. So colorizing, you might want to check that, see if you like it better or not. I love that. Okay, so, okay. Okay. So we've got some purple hair here. I see a lot of the white showing. Sometimes I like to I'm taking the model layer, and if I'm going to screw it up a little bit, I'll make a copy of it, like right click, duplicate layer. This will come up, and I'll say okay. Now see there's two of the exact same thing. I may just turn this one off, this visibility, so it's there, and now I can go to this one and screw with this one all I want and not worry about it. So I'm gonna like erase some of her background hair. We don't need some of her background hair. And if I get rid of the purple hair, see, like I'm erasing that, just to get rid of some of this white that we had. And I'm going to go to her real purple hair and maybe take my eraser and take the eraser down to like 3 and just kind of get rid of a lot of this stuff that's really white and sticking out. You can do this with the mouse. It'll take you a while, and you can zoom in and everything like that. We have some hairstylists in this class, and so this is kind of cool because you could take pictures of your clients if they want purple hair but they don't know how it's going to look on them. You can mock it up for them. Say, hey, for another another $25, I can mock up your hair color, show you what you're going to look like. Okay, so that's cool. So we're going to back up a little bit. So she's got purple hair. Great. All right, and then what else we could do to make this more exciting is add. Let's add something. Let's add something in front of her, like fog or something. What should we add? Fog, maybe. Let's go back to the internet and let's look up fog. But a PNG, which a lot of times the PNGs will have a clear background. Let's try this one right here. Copy image. I don't think you can just copy it to get the transparency part of it, though. Let's see. Edit, paste. Oh, it was taking my hair from before. Copy image, Photoshop, and paste. Alright, so we did get some fog here. The only reason why I'm doing this is going to be just like a subtle thing to kind of bring it all together. Now look at, I'm going to call this enter to put it to the size I want. If I double click the layer, I can call it fog. So now I know which one my fog is. But let's go up here to, as long as fog's selected, up here is where you can mess with your layer selections and do like an overlay. It doesn't work so great on white. Let's see if this looks any better. Screen. And then you can mess with the opacity of how much you can see it. I don't even think that looks any better. But let's invert it. Image, invert. And now everything's the opposite. So all your whites are now black and vice versa. Okay, overthinking that too much. Alright. So now I want to show you a little bit about overlay. Let's take a layer of, well shoot, let's just take a piece of this sky right here, clouds. I'm going to take, let's say, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to left click and take this cool texture right here. Command C, Command V will paste it, or edit, copy, and then edit, paste will paste it. And I'm going to bring this to the just below the model, and I'm going to do overlay, So I got this layer selected. I'm going to do overlay. I just want to show you how if you can ghost it over everything. It gives it a really cool look. Brings it all together too, really nice. And then I might even do that again over her, but make the one over her less opacity. Let's do it over the text too. See how that really like kind of bring, and let's change it from overlay to like soft light, hard light. Mess with these guys, these are really cool. Darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn. I'm just showing you like all the coolness that it has. That's pretty fun. Screen, overlay. So there's something right here on her pants that just, I don't know what layer that's coming from, but let's see, is it this layer? Yeah. So we can take the eraser, make it bigger and softer. Right now it's hard, this is soft. And I can just erase that. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to start a new video here in a minute. I'm going to take a break for a second. You need to take a break too. But so far we've got several layers on here. We learned how to cut out images. We learned how to use the selection tool, the lasso tool, the pin tool, how to mess with hue and saturation on layers, how to bring in text, how to edit text, how to put effects on text. And so we're going to learn a lot more here in a second.